even true. Like, nobody can believe this. How could this just happen? And, I think he was on his way to the Mamba Academy in Thousand Oaks. I mean, talk about a guy who's focused, this is what his legend was. Like, he was going to train a new generation of kids and teach them how to be like him. He flies a helicopter because he always flew in a helicopter, guys. Like, he lived in Orange County, and instead of saying, I'm going to be in traffic every day going to Staples Center, he took a helicopter. That was part of Kobe, It was just, like, he did other legendary things as he was living. And, when I remember one of my favorite Kobe stories is he wanted to do something romantic for his wife. And he wanted to prove to her how much he loved her. They were in, obviously, a really tough time. It was after everything that happened in Colorado, and that he wanted to keep her and stay together. And so he decided he wanted to teach her, he wanted to teach himself how to play piano and play her a song. And I was like, why don't you just get someone to teach you to play piano? And he said, no, it meant more if I taught myself. So he put on Moonlight Sonata and just taught himself how to play that by ear, so he could play it for his wife. I mean, who does that? People like Kobe.
Ramona, in terms of the Lakers themselves, you've had some of the biggest stars in the history of sports, not just the NBA, but the history of sports, represent that franchise, and none may be bigger than Kobe Bryant. As it relates to his effect on the organization, how would you sum it up?
Man, it's Magic and Kobe, right? Like, there was always a debate if you were a Magic person or a Kobe person. Most of it came down to how old you were. So if you grew up with Magic as your guy, then you were a Magic person. If you grew up with Kobe as your guy, you were a Kobe person. It's like maybe under 30, over 30 might be the breakdown. But those were the two towering figures. And, each one of them could, I don't want to say they could run for mayor, too small. Does that make sense? Like, I remember on his 40th birthday, they made it Kobe Bryant Day in the city of LA, and the entire city council was like, it was like the king showed up. LA is still Kobe's town. I know LeBron James is here now, but that seat, that throne is Kobe Bryant's, and it probably will be forever.
Ramona, we truly appreciate your perspective. I know you're on the way to the scene, and we'll be talking to you later on the day here on SportsCenter. I want to mention the Los Angeles Times is reporting the crash ignited a brush fire, and that precluded emergency personnel from getting to the copter. As information continues to creep in, we will continue to share it with you. Kobe Bryant has died at the age of 41. The NBA's best insider is on the way in just a second. Hang tight. Obviously, this is causing huge shockwaves throughout the NBA, the Twitter world, the sports world in general. Mark Cuban, the Mavericks owner, R.I.P. Mamba, may your memory be a blessing. John Morant, one of the young, great superstars, carrying the baton from Kobe Bryant, simply numb, and Rudy Gobert, for years, a challenger, a fellow competitor in the Western Conference. Enjoy every single day, people. We are always too worried about things that are actually not that important. Life is precious, and you never now know when it's going to end.
Adrian Wojnarowski, our ESPN NBA insider, joins us now on the phone here. This breaking news coverage of Kobe Bryant dying in a helicopter crash in the Los Angeles area just moments ago. Woj, what's been the reaction that you've gotten from around the league so far?
Michael Zubin, obviously shocked. A lot of people hoping against hope that indeed Kobe Bryant was not on that helicopter, but just shocked. This is one of the iconic figures, not just in the history of the NBA, but in modern professional sports and culture. Kobe transcended the Lakers and the NBA, and this is for a lot of players who grew up idolizing him, peers who he played against. I think within the league itself, there's just shock and obviously great sadness.
During his prime, Woj, Kobe was very proud of the fact that, he didn't make a lot of friends around the league because he was trying to be the greatest. And if you're on his team, that's one thing. If you're on the opposing team, that's different. But it seems like the younger generation in the NBA right now looked up to him as much as they did anybody as it relates to the last 15 to 20 years of the NBA. How do you think his effect has translated throughout the NBA?
Well, there's no question that Kobe had a tremendous influence on really even more than one generation of young player coming into the league. You remember, he was at 17 years old. He died today at 41, and there have been even players, young players now who just caught the tail end of his career who were enamored by him. And I'm already hearing from team executives in the last several minutes telling me, one in particular told me, their star player was devastated, didn't know if he'd be able to play in a game today, and whether the league might make a decision about games. And we're still gathering that information, but this will be, Kobe Bryant was a transcendent figure in this league, and as popular of a player that perhaps we've had since Michael Jordan.
It's so well said, Woj. Ramona Shelburne was on the phone with us prior to you coming on, and she said the Mamba mentality that he embodied was well known in China, well known in Africa, and obviously here in the United States. The true devastating part about this, you look at it from a husband and family perspective with his daughters. He said, I'm just starting to live life when he retired from the NBA. I'm going to win an Academy Award. He did. He had so much life left in front of him and wanted to do things outside of basketball. To this point, at the age of 41, with everything he did post-basketball and including his career, how would you sum up the legacy of Kobe Bryant?
Well, certainly he was a player, who came in at a time in the league when the sport was really exploding on television, on the internet, and globally. And I think Kobe Bryant was really one of the first NBA players to become immense around the world. I think he carried that on from the Dream Team group and what they did, what Michael Jordan did. Certainly in China, Kobe has reached, tremendous heights. And there are, young players everywhere in the world who imagined being him, emulated him, his ability to sell sneakers, to market products. And then he started to transcend basketball, as you said, Zubin, in his post-playing career, and was moving on into the media. Into media, he had a great passion for the written word, and I think most of all, a great passion for his daughters, for his family. You saw him courtside at a lot of games with his daughters, taking them to games, and then coaching their teams. And that was something I know he took great pride in, kind of shepherding them through, their academic and their basketball careers and into their teenage years.
What do you think of the fact, Woj, it comes so suddenly here that late last night in the 10 o'clock Eastern hour, there he was congratulating LeBron James, passing him on the all-time points list, active on social media, nothing was different, and then shortly after 10 a.m. local time on the West Coast, this happened. Let's take a look at some tweets on the screen. This from Kobe last night, when the King passed him in Philadelphia, which many believe is sort of the quote-unquote American hometown of Kobe Bryant. Obviously grew up in Italy as well. Right after LeBron scored in the third quarter to break his all-time scoring mark, Kobe continuing to move the game forward and then put the point total that LeBron had 1 point past Kobe. As somebody that just lives on social media, is a great newsbreaker. Looks like we've lost Adrian Wojnarowski. He's going to be joining us here in studio here in just 1 second. So he'll be on his way in to talk a little bit more about Kobe Bryant. As Mike, we've got some footage from the scene arriving.
Yes, this video from KABC in Los Angeles. Kobe, one of 5 people believed to be on that helicopter when it crashed in the Los Angeles area. The reports from Los Angeles say that all 5 occupants of that helicopter died. Now, as Ramona Shelburne said earlier, riding a helicopter was very commonplace for Kobe Bryant. He lived in South Orange County. Of course, the Lakers practice there in El Segundo, just south of the airport. And instead of making that drive oftentimes for practice or games, he would take the helicopter from South Orange County up to Los Angeles. Sometimes the drive could take you an hour and a half, depending on traffic. The helicopter could get you there in 20 minutes or so, and that's why Kobe often took that helicopter. Since he's been retired from the NBA, continues to use that mode of transportation to go into the city, his different endeavors in terms of media, with movies and television production, everything he's been involved in. That's the way he gets around oftentimes, even going to practice sometimes with his young daughters and other youth and people in the area, he would often use helicopters. So again, Kobe, one of 5 people believed to have died in that helicopter crash in the Los Angeles area this morning there in LA. A little more reaction from those in and around the league. Joel Embiid, of course, from the 76ers, man, I don't even know where to start. I started playing ball because of Kobe after watching the 2010 finals. Of course, Kobe won 5 NBA championships. I'd never watched ball before that, and that finals was the turning point of my life. I wanted to be like Kobe. I'm so freaking sad right now. Rest in peace to a legend.
They continued on social media, this with Scottie Pippen. I'm stunned. Words can't even come close to describing it. Just an incredibly sad and tragic day. And I believe we have some comments from Dwayne Wade as well, as many superstars and around the world of sports are weighing in on this devastating news. Dwayne Wade probably speaking for millions of people, simply tweeting, "No, God, please, no."
Joining us now here on the special edition of SportsCenter's Jay Adonde, former ESPN colleague of ours here, also former columnist of the Los Angeles Times, but he also was born and raised in Los Angeles and was a Lakers fan from the time that he could first remember what a basketball was. And Jay Adonde joins us here. Jay, your reaction to this news as it came across?
I'm stunned. And, I think back on it, of all the athletes I've covered, I've spent more days, spent more time, covered more games of Kobe Bryant than anyone else in my career. So I'll always feel linked and tied to him, the entirety of my time at the Los Angeles Times and, most of my time with ESPN. I was around Kobe Bryant 90% of his playoff games in particular. And it's strange because we've seen him mature. I've seen him from when he was a teenage rookie. We've seen him enter that grumpy old man phase, as I like to call it, at the end of his career. And it's just interesting seeing him in retirement and, really taking to fatherhood. But then you see, he dies at age 41, and all of a sudden he seems young again. That's all the maturation that he's done, under the very public platform. And, we think of him as a mature, older, wise perspective, and now only 41. It just seems so young. So it's a torrent of emotions and thoughts that are going through my head right now.
Jay, what did he mean to Los Angeles? Coming there as a teenager, when the franchise was going through a transition from the Magic Johnson era, trying to get back to the upper echelon. Shaq comes in, but it wasn't until those two guys got together that they were able to win championships. What did he mean to that city in terms of that team?